Hey everybody, how are you? Hope everybody's doing great. I wanted to get back on here and do another message. Today I want to talk about the only way out is through. Now, I've talked about this a lot, but not someone inspired me to finish it because I feel like it's not finished. First, I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you to my 400 and what is it? 445 subscribers. I haven't said thank you in a while, and it's been steadily growing, kind of slowed down for a bit. Got a couple more today, and it just reminded me to say thank you and welcome to the new people. And I am so grateful for every single one of you, even if you don't subscribe, that if you came across me in any way, that it was meant to be, and hopefully you will get something out of it. So welcome. Thank you. I love you all. And I just wanted to get out of the way. I don't usually respond to comments, and I know who's doing the commenting, especially if you go through anything with a narcissist. There's going to be fake profiles, there's going to be flying monkeys, and I do not respond to them directly ever. But I did want to tell anyone out there that is going through something like this that you're going to have to expect the fake profiles when you go through it. Hopefully you will speak up. Everybody needs to hear your story. They will draw strength from you. They will know that they can do it too. You can give them pointers. You can give them a heads up. I happen to get a whole lot of life experience from one person. I have been involved with more than one narcissist. I have lived with more than one person. I have been married to more than one person. I have a child by each marriage. I am no way naming names of anyone, and I am not defaming anyone's character, and I do not encourage any one of you to do that either. Vengeance is God's. I am not doing it for vengeance. I loved this person unconditionally, and by putting these stories out there to help others, because they will not be in vain. My pain has turned into my platform, and I started this before anything bad ever happened in the recent events of my life. So I stayed quiet for way too long, and that only benefited the narcissists. It is my life. These are my stories. I endured them. And there was a lot of pain involved, so they're not going to be easily forgotten, and I'm going to recycle them in a way that I can dust off the ugly parts and let other people, because those are my most watched videos, most likes, most comments. I get the most subscribers when I post stuff like that. I don't want to stay in that energy by any means. That's why I try to do messages about other things. But I see that that is where people need the most help, and I have so much knowledge to give on the subject because I went through narcissistic abuse for a long time, and I will never, ever go back to it under any circumstance, and I don't want any of you to do it either. That is the point. I'm trying to show you how to go through the storm that is shutting out a narcissist, going no contact, blocking them on every single thing. If they choose to come out of the woodwork and start, being that hit dog that hollers, because it's inevitably going to happen when you strike a nerve because they're not healed. So if they want to step out and they want to expose themselves, let them do it. Let them be that view. Let them be that person that exposes themselves and takes their own mask off. Let their flying monkeys come in and expose them. They have limited tools in their tool belt, so they're not going to do anything except childish behavior, the stalking, the fake profiles, the flying monkey profiles. You just got to expect that that's par for the course whenever you step out of the narcissistic relationship and you close out the cycle. You don't renew another cycle. You're not going to play that game with them anymore. Refuse to, absolutely refuse to, but do use your experience that God put you through on purpose for you to learn from, and then to be of service to others with it. So It's a beautiful thing, and that's what this community is about. Not just about, but that's a big part of it. And I don't want any of you to let anyone trying to come in and crap all over what you're trying to do. I don't want you to let that stop you. When people say that you talk too much, that means you were on the right track. You are exposing things that needed to be exposed a long time ago, because that happened to you. And that was something in your life that was important. And no one can take that away from you. Don't let them. And don't let them try to hurt you from helping other people with it that are also hurt and need to gather strength from you. That's so important. And so I wanted to throw that out there first and foremost, because it is part of the storm. And I talk about how the only way out of the storm is through. So hunker down and do what God needs you to do. Go wherever He needs you to go, because many are called, few are chosen. If you are saying yes to that blind faith that is the journey that He's putting you on, then you have to let Him forge you in that fire. But just know that He's going to protect you, that He's going to provide for you, and you will rise from those ashes if you choose to accept that mission and you stay obedient through the whole thing. So part of being obedient is doing what is healthy for you, helping others with the experience as well, and not letting anybody rob you of that. Because if you went through it, it has shaped you into a whole new person. You are much braver, you are much courageous, much more courageous. You are stronger, you are beautiful inside and out. And through that first part of the storm, when you start going through it, you're gonna have to start getting a hold of your nervous system. These things are going to come out of nowhere. You're going to have the smear campaigns, them pushing their narratives, trying to get you to react, throwing all of this mud at you to see what sticks, going to anyone that will lend an ear to try and tell them horrible things about you. You're going to have to be okay with that. You're going to have to hold your head high, put on the armor of God, and be okay with that. After the first few things happen, and the initial shock wears off, with your meditation, with your journaling, with you transmuting the negative energy into positive things that you can use to benefit you, because that's what alchemy is, and we are all alchemists. Look that up. I have lots of videos on it. Once you've done that, you will start to trust in the process more. You will start to feel more comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's what this is going to take. It's not easy, but it's worth it. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, and there would be no narcissists, because they would just work on themselves. They would work on themselves and not try to drag others down and dim their light, so that they didn't have to do any work on themselves. In comparison, they wouldn't look so dull and so ugly. And I don't mean ugly like physically, I mean like their behavior, the things that they do, it's ugly. So it's disastrous. They're hurting themselves, and therefore they're hurting others with their pain. They're just not healing. They're doing lots of things that lower their aura, their physical, their force field, their spiritual force field, sorry, not physical, their spiritual force field, so that they're allowing other entities and not waking up and giving their divinity permission to run the show. So if they want to do that, let them. But if you decide to answer the call and God anoints you, you will know that He is protecting you. And eventually, with meditation, with doing those things on a routine basis, you're not going to be affected. Your fear, your anxiety, your stress levels is going to go down. So you're not going to have to worry about that as much after the first initial hurdles, but it is part of entering the storm. Eventually, when you go through enough of it, it's going to be getting a grip. You have a grip on what you've been called to do. You know their tricks. You know all of the fear-mongering tactics. You've let the smear campaign dirt being slung at you roll off your back. You hold your head high. You're no longer caring what other people think. You're trusting in God. You you've got to grip on that part, on putting the one foot in front of the other, putting your blinders on, canceling out the noise, and knowing what you're here to do. And don't let anyone get you off of that path. Maybe you have to course correct, but there's no shame in that. Don't beat yourself up. Do your shadow work. Know that part of that is also forgiving yourself, and you may have to do that several times. You're going to have to forgive several different people for several different things. So get used to the forgiving and being okay with, working through that, picking it apart, seeing what it is, why it exists, feeling it, honoring it, letting it go. You're going to be okay with letting it go. And then you're walking in your divinity. That's it. It's not easy. It's not just like a snap and you're there. But once you work on it consistently, you're going to get a stride, okay? And then decide to listen to your intuition and know what your intuition sounds like, because it's different for everyone. And God's going to speak to you in the ways that He knows you will hear Him clearly. And after you've done that for so long, you will find the eye of the storm. You will have your peace and you will protect it in your heart fiercely. So you're holding that flame. You're not letting anything blow it out. You're being the light for yourself and others. You've found that peace, that safe, serene, comfortable, somewhat comfortable place, your new comfortable, your new normal in the midst of the storm. And everything can go crazy and fly around you and destruct itself and other people, but it's not going to move you. You are immovable. You are unfuckwittable. You will find that space. And it could get, the first part of the storm was really rough and really painful until you got a grip. And learning to trust yourself, learning to trust God and your intuition, that's not easy either. So once you find your way to the eye of the storm, a friend of mine suggested this, not directly to me, but in one of their messages, how you have to step out of the eye. There's still, another half of the storm that you have to get out of. I remember watching this tornado documentary on Netflix, and this different accounts from different people about their small city getting destroyed. And I remember this girl talking about how her and her two friends ran into a store and everything blew completely around them, and they were just holding themselves like in a cooler in the back room of the store. I don't know, but they were all huddled together and trying to protect each other with their bodies because everything else was gone. And they looked up in the midst of the storm and they saw this blue sky and like sunshine in the middle of this destructive path, and that was the eye of the storm. They found themselves in it, but that they knew that they had to get ready and gear up for the second half because it was bound to come. The only way out is through. So if you're in the middle of it, even though it might seem beautiful for a moment, you got to know that there's a second half. There is a second leg to this race. That don't give up now, because you're almost there. And if you could have made it through that horrible first part and you gathered all of these tools that you have, and all of these other people aren't doing the work, so you have their tools from the person you used to be, and you have all of these glorious new tools that they don't have. So while you are integrating your shadow self and have done your shadow work with this newfound chosen you that has gotten in the saddle, and they rode hard for God and they rode hard for themselves and for what they love and what they value, and they built this new foundation that you're not going to let anybody tear down. So if you have to use some of your old tools for good, which is holding people accountable, not letting things of the past be in vain, that you're going to use them as tools for yourself and others in the future, you can use some of those old things, but they're not going to be able to fight back in the light, because they're not in the light, and they don't have those tools from doing all of that hard work on themselves, because they chose to stay in their shadow. They chose to just be fine with all of those old tools, the criminal activity, the violence, the knuck if you buck, the childish, the tantrums, the incrimination, the intimidation, the manipulation. They chose to stay in that bag. And eventually people get tired of those tricks because you're one trick pony. You're putting on different masks, but it's not, it is what it is. Eventually it's up, then it's stuck. You can't go anywhere with it. You're stuck. And then people start to find out who you are because you're taking your own masks off. You've used all of the tricks up. They see this other person walking in their divinity, being their true authentic self, which was never what they expected you to do. It's never what they said that you were. And just being that consistent, you disproves everything that they've said and tried so hard to make other people believe, or paid people off to do for them, or asked people to, throw rocks and be like, who did that? I don't know. Where did that come from? People are going to get tired of that. They're not going to want to put themselves out there for something that's not going to pay off, that's going to get them in trouble and not the other person in trouble. They're eventually going to be like, I'm not standing in front of you for everything that's about to come. People that you paid off were probably in high positions, and they don't want to lose those high positions, not for you anyway. Maybe if it was an honest mistake that they made on their own, but not something they were paid to do. That's, I had a dream the other day, and it was this person who was affiliated with someone else, and they were very sad and sorrowful, and they had a just very down disposition, just very flat affect. And in the dream, they knew that the person that they were affiliated with was going down. It was stuck. It was up and it's stuck. Like, the jig is up. There was no way that that person could dig themselves out. And this other person knew that it was only a matter of time before their affiliation was traced back to them, and everything that they did and helped this person with, and then some, was eventually going to come out and be aired out. And they just knew. They knew that there was no way that they could get out of it, and that they had made all the wrong choices. They never turned back, despite the warnings, despite people falling out and not helping them anymore. And they knew that there was nothing else they could do but wait on the cavalry to come, because they were eventually going to be in front of the firing squad, and there was no one to save them from there. And if you've read the Bible, a lot of these prophets, when they go and warn people and they don't listen, God turns a deaf ear to them. He's not, after so many times of trying to give you chances, sending you warnings, sending prophets to tell you what was going to happen if you didn't stop, and then still giving you more time, and you didn't. You stayed on the wrong side. You stayed in your shadow self. God's not going to hear their prayers. He's going to turn a deaf ear to those that continually worshiped false idols, that continually was bearing false witness, that was committing adultery, committing harlotry, Jezebel stuff. So he's going to turn a deaf ear to that, and that was what this person was experiencing in this dream. And it was specific for me, but to many of you, it could mean other different people, but to me, that's what my dream told me, and my dreams are never wrong. So I felt deeply what this person was feeling, and how they knew that there was nothing else they could do. They were just a sitting duck from that point on. So when you have to step out of that piece, know that when it's up, the things that they've been using as tools, they're going to be the same tools, but they're going to get worse because they're going to be desperate, and there's nothing else new that they can do. So all they can do is use the old tools, but in a magnified version. So know that if God has put you in this position, that He is going to protect you. If you are anointed, you are surrounded with a hedge of protection at all times. So do not fear that. Don't stay home all the time. Still do the things that you love to do, the things that make you happy and give you joy. Go out into nature, get your exercise, move your body, because He's still going to protect you. If they want to come at you, let them try. Let them try to see what it's like to come after a chosen one, because that's instant karma. And a lot of people have seen with me that they get instant karma and they've backed off, usually for these other people, but their karma is going to be last because they kept adding it up and ignoring and doubling down that whole time. And I know that that's what happens in your position too, because I see in these comments on all of these videos that I've watched about other narcissistic abuse platforms and other people that have been through this or are still going through this. I know that our situations are so similar, and me holding back what I've been through isn't helping anyone at all, except those that have abused and want you to stay quiet, the ones that think that you talk too much, or the ones that recycle quotes that were written about the epitome of what they represent, and they still don't want to see how their accountability is coming, that the consequences of the reality that they have created around themselves and kept putting more and more work in without turning back is coming down to them directly, and they can't escape it. So you use your tools. You know what their tools are. You know how to head it off. You know that you're protected. Keep on walking through the rest of the way out of that storm. And if you're listening to your intuition, God's signaling to you every way that he can. He's giving you the whole, all of the signals he's giving you. He's letting you know when it's safe to proceed. It's cool to come out of the center because he's got you, but you have to walk the rest of this way through. Do not give up. He's got you. He's not going to lead you to it without seeing you all the way through it. So just know that it's safe to proceed out, but the only way out is through. So you have to go through. You have to round third. God's letting you know. He's cranking the arm. He's like, come on, come on, come on, come on. Get out of the storm. Round third. We're going to get a home run. We're going to cross this finish line. You have to get out. I didn't do this the first time. I went into another cycle. That's why I'm telling you it's so important for you to tell your story no matter what the consequences, because you have to finish it out. You have to finish what you started. If you don't, you're destined to repeat it. And that's the lesson. That's the lesson. None of this was for nothing. You have become so strong. And you wouldn't have had these things if you had chosen not to go through it. You wouldn't have your level up. You would never have any more abundance than you ever did by making yourself small to make these other people feel comfortable, by not wanting to pass them in this path that you're on because you didn't want to make them feel bad. You didn't want to leave them behind. But that's what God has for you. These people were just lessons for you. Keep going so that you can get the blessings bestowed upon you for your hard work, for leveling up, and for being obedient, because that's what he wants for you. That's what he has for you. And don't compare yourself to anyone else. I'm in this apartment. I have come up out of poverty a couple of different times. I've worked my butt off staying in the matrix, just letting all of my energy be depleted for things that were not for me. It was for the betterment of someone else, for a corporation, what have you, and just draining me in the process, letting other people send endless people in to drain me as well. And I can guarantee you that this is the only place that I talk about narcissistic abuse. I save it for my platform. I'm not telling anyone that I meet on a daily basis about my ex ever. I don't waste my energy on that. I do it so I can help others, and that's it. Period. Never. If I wanted to go back to that, I could have a long time ago, but that's why I chose to go through the storm, because I cut it off for good, and I knew that all of this stuff was coming. I didn't know what, I didn't know how, but I knew if I chose to cut them out for good, that the storm was coming, and I chose to ride. So I want you to do the same. Don't stop, because it's never going to stop. The only way out is through. Unless you complete it, unless you go all the way through, it's not going to stop. But if you look at others, like say, I don't know what's going to happen in this apartment. I'm supposed to be out the day after tomorrow, I think. And I don't know what's going to happen. But if God wants me to live in my car, I have to do what God wants me to do. If God has something else for me, God will present that. I've seen other people on the internet that have gone through similar things, that have lived in their car. They only had to do it for like a couple of months. They had a GoFundMe that was like $40,000. They had everything on their Amazon wish list bought for them, full furnished apartment, car note caught up, like all of these things, gym memberships. This girl, Bree, she's going to barber school, like she's on her path to her new goals. Like, You have to cheer those people on and send them love and gather strength from them to keep going, because your path is not someone else's. Your path is for you. It may take you a lot longer to get there. God has different things for you, a different path. And don't be discouraged if everyone that you're asking for help, or all the ways that you thought were help, are not answering you or ignoring you. That's just not the way. You have to change your perspective and immediately say, oh, that's not the way. It's not working out. God has another way. That's not how it's going to happen for me. I'm not these other people. It's not going to happen for me in the time that it happened or the way that it happened for them. Don't let it beat you down and think that it's not going to happen for you, because God is going to see you all the way through the storm if He put you in it. If you were chosen to do that, and you didn't do anything to cause any of that for yourself, don't self-sabotage and give up right before you're almost there. And I know that I've had a hard time not giving up. I'm going to be completely honest about it. I have kept going way, way past what I thought was my point of, like, I can't do it anymore. But God always gave me something. He always gave me something to enlighten me, something to encourage me. He threw me a bone of some sort. He helped me out and sent me a gift, or sent me a person that gave me a gift and said, yes, you can, keep going, because that's what's building you up. That's what's building your character. That's what's building your strength. That is what is empowering you to go to the level that He wants you to go through next, giving you all the tools that you needed along the way, and preparing you for what He has for you when you get there, because He wants you to be able to sustain it. He doesn't want you to have gone through all of this, giving you all these tools to get this far, and then get there and then be like, I don't know what to do now, or I don't know like how to sustain this and keep this, and not, this new house or this new car or this new job that He has for me, or giving you your kids back and then you not be able to take care of them and then end up in the same position that you were in the first place. He's not going to do that. He wants to prepare you to be able to handle it once you get those blessings, so that you don't have to go through these same things again, or think about ever going back to where you came from that you got out of. That was hell on earth. If you let it be. Don't let it be. You create your own slice of heaven on earth and stay there once you get out, because that's what God is preparing you for. Not just to make it through the first leg of the race, the storm, get into the middle and be, safe on base, and then for Him to say, okay, it's time to go. It's time to steal third. Let's steal third. And then He gives you the wind up. Sorry, I played softball. And then He gives you the wind up, and He's like, come on home. He's waving you in. It's safe. It's up. It's stuck. They can't do anything to hurt you. Keep your blinders on. Keep working hard. Keep going even further past what you thought you couldn't do, because you can. And then you finally get there and you slide in, and He's like, safe. You did it. You did it. And I'm going to start crying even thinking about it, because you can do it. I can do it. You can do it. We can all do it if He puts you there. Please trust Him, because He has something so beautiful for you. And I know He has something beautiful for me, and I'm not going to give up on myself. And I don't want any of you to give up on yourselves either. No matter how hard it was going through it, you can get out of it. You can help others with what you learned that was painful. And I want to encourage anyone that is also wonderfully made, that you can do it too. Even if you did me harm, you can do it too. I want you to embody who you are truly, for everyone to see, and not let that be anything that deters you from moving forward ever. Because if you are that, even if you came about being that from abuse, it is beautiful for you to be that. Be that. Don't give a crap about what anybody else thinks. Love yourself unconditionally, just like I or other people have loved you to this point. We can all do it. I love you. God loves you. You're never alone. Please trust the process. So don't give up on yourselves, because you're almost home. Slide into that bitch.